Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Welcome to the June 16th, 2026 City Council meeting. Members of the public may attend the City Council meeting in person or may watch or listen remotely by viewing the meeting on Channel 8 WCTV and at the city's website at wayzata.org/WCTV. Public comment during the public forum and or public hearing portions of the meeting may be provided in person at the meeting in advance or by logging into the Teams call and raising your hand during the public hearing. When your name is called in the meeting, you will be seen and heard in our council chambers and cable channel. You'll be asked to unmute, turn your camera on, and then you may begin your comments. All public comments should include your first name and who you're representing. And with that, I'm going to move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. If I could ask everyone to stand if you are able and follow along. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next on our agenda is a roll call. Please note that all council members are present with one noted excused absence of Councilmember Cook. Earlier this evening, we had a workshop to discuss the retail environment in Wayzata and what role the city could play in promoting retail in downtown Wayzata, and a discussion of our future workshops. The next item on our agenda is to approve the agenda. I would need a motion to approve the agenda, or is there any changes that need to be made?
I would make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, may I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes 4-0. Next, we have our public forum. And just as a reminder for those here in the public attendance tonight, if you're interested in speaking, state your first name and street or who you're representing and limit your comments to 3 minutes. If you wish to speak to something that's on the agenda, fill out a form at the table in the back and hand it to our staff, and then you will be called and when that agenda item is up. We do have two speakers on our public forum tonight. I'm assuming we don't have anyone on Teams or no additional cards.
Correct.
So we have the outgoing Wayzata School Superintendent and incoming Superintendent. I believe Dr. Chase Anderson will be introducing Dr. Robb tonight. So I would invite you guys to the podium for your comments. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, city staff. We appreciate the opportunity to spend a couple minutes here with you tonight. My name is Chase Anderson, and my new title is the outgoing Superintendent of Wayzata Public Schools. After serving 18 years in this role and 25 years prior to that in various educational positions, after 43 years, I'm retiring in about 2 weeks from tonight. Actually, I think midnight will be my final call, so to speak. But it's been a great honor, and I would just like to take an opportunity to say thank you to the Wayzata City Council, Mr. Mayor, and those mayors prior to you, and the city staff. We so much appreciate the collaboration and the work that we've done together over the years on a number of projects, and just really appreciate, hopefully from your perspectives as well, being mutual strategic partners and striving to serve all of the same constituents and clientele that participate in so many different wonderful activities. The city of Wayzata has been very good to our school district, and the beautification and all of the changes that have taken place over the 18 years that I've been here in downtown Wayzata and throughout the community. It's just really incredible. So I'm finding myself in this deep feeling of gratitude of all of the kindness and the collaboration and the hard work that so many have come together to do to help the school district continue to thrive and flourish and move forward in such a positive way. And a big part of that is the partnership and the collaboration with the city of Wayzata. So as I get to this point, one of my final duties, so to speak, is to hand off things to our incoming superintendent, Dr. Robb. I'll give him an opportunity to share a little bit about himself here in a moment, but it's been really fun for me to be involved in this process. I've never done this before, retire that is, so I don't really know what I'm doing, but it's reinforcing for me and very satisfying to me in knowing that we have an incoming superintendent who's going to continue to work hard, take really good care of our communities and our school district. And I've known Dr. Virgin for a number of years, and although I wasn't involved in the search, I was certainly pleased when I saw he was in the mix and the ultimate choice for the school board. So with that, I'm going to sign off and hand it off to Robb and give him an opportunity to get his voice in the room, share a little bit about himself, and then we'll be on our way and let you get to your meeting. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, City staff. I'm delighted to be with you tonight. As Dr. Anderson shared, my name is Robb Virgin, and on July 1st, I'll be officially joining the community as the Wayzata School's next superintendent. And I want to start just first off by thanking Dr. Anderson and all of his leadership team he's provided great mentorship and coaching to me for many years, but particularly the last couple of months of his commitment to a smooth transition to having everything in place and having the system in a great spot has been just so apparent to me. And it's pretty remarkable how well cared for the school district has been. And so I can't thank him and the team enough for helping make this transition great for the community. I also want to just let you know that how fortunate I feel to be joining a school system that works so well with its community partners, like the city of Wayzata. And I know that great communities are built on those partnerships, and when our leadership teams work together, all of our residents, our students, our families, everybody, our businesses, everybody benefits from that. So I'm committed to continuing that tradition. I'm thrilled that it's in place, and I realize that I benefit from that, but you have my commitment to continuing that partnership. Officially start July 1, as we've noted, so I'll be in touch for us to forge our relationship. But I welcome you at any time if there's ever anything that I personally can do or that you are looking for from the district that can help your work. Please don't hesitate to be in touch. And just thank you for the time tonight, and look forward to our work together.
Yeah,
Thanks.
maybe you could just offer a few words on your background for the public that, maybe want to know where you're coming from and what brought you to Wayzata.
Yeah, sure. So I started off as a social studies teacher, taught in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and then in Farmington. And when I left mainly middle school, a little high school, did a lot of coaching, basketball and soccer, and track and field, and then spent some time at the University of Minnesota, actually, teaching some classes there for pre-service teachers, so teachers working on their license and instructional methods, and in-service teachers who are working on their master's degree and research methods and things like that, and supervised a lot of student teachers. And that brought me to Minnetonka Schools, where I joined as assistant principal at the high school. My next role from there was principal of Eden Prairie High School, which is when I met Dr. Anderson, and I was working through my dissertation, and Chase and I did a similar PhD program at the U, which not a ton of us in education administration have done that exact program. And so I knew that, and we met at a state swimming meet, actually, at the U, and we were both there just watching our schools. And as you know, Chase, you can imagine how we had just had our second kid, and we had 2 under 2, and I was kind of sharing, I don't think I'm going to finish this. I love my job. I don't think I need to get this degree. And he just kind of kept asking questions, and then finally said, I think you need just a plan. And I said, okay. He said, I think you just need a plan. And then that became the plan that my family and I used to finish that. And the last 4 years have been in district office in Eden Prairie Schools, and I serve as assistant superintendent right now. And a big part of what attracted me to it is that I'm obviously familiar with neighboring districts and kind of Lake Conference communities that have some things in common, but each community is different. And one of the things that was particularly attractive about Wayzata is just how well cared for it is, and just the grounded approach of the school district that has a commitment to just everyday sustained excellence that year over year has produced just an amazing culture for students and staff. And it's a pretty small world, as I imagine yours are too. So I've had a lot of colleagues work in this district, and friends who have sent their kids here and those sorts of things. So I knew the landscape pretty well and was pretty attracted to that type of culture.
Any questions of Dr. Virgin here from council?
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, no, so welcome. And,
Thank you.
Best of luck to you as you start your new role, and to Dr. Anderson, Dr. Chase Anderson, thank you for your years and years of service to our community. And certainly, I think you said it better than I can about the partnership that you've had with the city of Wayzata over the years. So we're confident that will continue under your leadership, and we're we're one of the smaller cities contributing to the ecosystem, but we're the namesake, and the originating city. So I look forward to working, as I'm sure my colleagues and our staff do, to working directly with you and your staff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
You
Appreciate
bet.
that.
Thanks. Okay, any other comments for Dr. Anderson? Nope. Okay, so we'll move on now. Next on our agenda is new agenda items. First of all, was there anyone on Teams? I heard it beep, but
There's someone just observing.
got it. No issues. So next item is new agenda items. Does anyone have any new agenda items to discuss or bring up now or in the future? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. On our consent agenda this evening is approval of the City Council workshop and regular minutes of June 2nd, 2026, approval of our check register, approval of our municipal licenses, receipt of our police activity report, receipt of our building activity report, authorizing the release of the request for proposals for the 2050 comprehensive plan, award of contract to Artisan Restoration for the repair of the Trapper's Cabin, adoption of the Resolution 30-2026 appointing new member to the Public Art Committee, approval of the Sixth Amendment to the antenna lease agreement between the City of Wayzata and AT&T Mobility Corporation, approval of the first reading of Ordinance 861, amending Chapter 936 in our tree preservation ordinance, and approval of the first reading of Ordinance 862, amending Chapter 950 of the general zoning district provisions. So I would need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, or if there are any items that need to be removed or adjusted for further discussion. So hearing none, I'll just accept approval to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion for you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. May I have a second?
A second?
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes 4-0. Now we're going on to our public hearing. I don't believe there's any other public hearing items tonight. So we're now bringing up a old business item, which is consider adoption of Resolution 30-2026, approving an extension of zoning approvals at 1405 Holdridge Terrace and 15419 and 15429 Wayzata Boulevard East. One Wayzata, formerly known as Harbors of Wayzata, Cantissimo. And so I believe we're going to have a brief presentation for staff, and I believe the applicant is here this evening that wanted to make some comments, I believe, and then we'll have bring it back to council for deliberations. So turning it over to Mr. Sharp or Ms. Seeger. Mr. Sharp.
Thank you, Mayor. As stated, this project's undergone a couple of different names and iterations. There's also a number of different addresses involved with it. So the applicant is present this evening and can explain some of the new name changes, but it is now One Wayzata, formerly approved as Harbors of Wayzata and originally submitted to the city as Cantissimo, all a senior living-esque project at 15419, 15429, and 15405 Holdridge Court. So the biggest question that I receive on this project is, where is it located? It is located in our northeast portion of the community. The blue line is actually the city boundary, or an approximation of the city boundary between the city of Wayzata and Minnetonka. It's just west of the Ensley as you are proceeding on what is there, a multiple named road, but primarily Wayzata Boulevard. For the different approvals that the city has gone through, you previously saw this back in February when you were reviewing a request for a one-year extension, so I'm not going to go through it extensively. But this project was originally approved back in 2022 and has sought a number of extensions over time, the latest of which was in February of 2026, where a one-year extension was sought, and the City Council sought to seek additional information from the applicant, who is present this evening, to present why they need these extensions and where their current status is at. And so the council approved for a 120-day extension versus the 1 year. Just as a quick reminder of the site plan, it was for a senior living facility of what was originally 3 different lots, thus the different address points being combined. They were residential lots and rezoned and re-guided to an institutional use for senior living. Total combined acreage of 2.49 acres, and it was 40 senior living units built into the site at a maximum of 2 stories and about 18,000 square feet. There is also a city lift station on site that would be relocated as part of this project. And apologies, I didn't realize that I'd had a click for the colors to come up better. The proposed motion and staff recommended motion for this evening, upon hearing from the applicant, would be to adopt Resolution 30-2026, approving an extension of zoning approvals for 1405 Holdridge Terrace and 15419, 15429 Wayzata Boulevard East. With that, if there are any questions of staff,
Questions of staff at this time? I just have one, and it's more just for people that might be tuning in the public. Like, so why does this not come back for review of use? Is it because it's staying consistent for senior housing and it's just the function of the senior housing?
so Mayor, if they were to propose a change in use, it would need to go back for full review of that use. However, in the case of when you're re-guiding and rezoning, those hold with the land, not necessarily with the project. So the project approvals, the development agreement, et cetera, are specifically approved for 1 year. When you rezone a property and re-guide, that is the action of the city. They've been filed, and they become part of the official zoning map.
So it just hasn't, the use hasn't changed, right? So
At this time, the city has not been submitted any documents that the use has been changed.
that's what I was looking for clarification on. Thank you. Any other questions of staff? So we'd invite the applicant to, if you could just state your name and address and who you're representing, and then given an opportunity to explain this change.
Sure. Hi, my name is Todd Homers, 3720 Northern Avenue, Orono, Minnesota.
Thank you.
And I am one of the partners in the project, and it's evolved. It's the same footprint, same size building. We've just decided to go a different route. Still going to have senior care, but we came back to the city and asked if we could sell the units rather than lease the units, because we were getting some interest in, can we have 2 units and we'd like to buy them. I'm like, they're not, they're going to be leased so we never even thought about it till we kept getting the question asked of us. So then we reached out to the city to see if we could reconfigure the interior to make the units larger, rather than an average of about 400 square feet in 40 units. So that's what we've done. We reconfigured it interior-wise, and then we brought the Waters in. Kyle's here, he can probably speak better than I, on selling the units but still having the senior care piece of it. It's kind of never really been done before. So it's been a process of getting the association docs, the budgets, everything in order versus what we were going to do. And we've brought on 2 real estate teams to market it, which they're starting. And once again, Kyle from the Waters is kind of helped. It's a lot of concierge, a lot of more of a country club style living for seniors that need care. But they'll own the unit rather than lease the unit. So that's where it's currently at. So any questions on the senior side? Kyle is probably far better than I to explain that.
Questions of the applicant? I just have one. In our packet, it was noted from the most, I guess, direct neighbor about some cleanup on the site for some dead trees and fallen trees. Is that something that's been relayed to the applicant or discussed in any way?
Yes, staff has sent multiple letters to the applicant regarding the fallen trees.
And
Is that the one right?
There are multiple trees that are down within the property. The city forester has reached out on several occasions.
Okay,
to discuss it.
that's new to, I know they're down. I just haven't heard that somebody wants them cleaned up before we move forward, but that can happen.
well, it just was a public comment. I'm just trying to make sure that the public comment was entered into the record, obviously, because it's the direct.
Sure, that can be cleaned up. We want the site to look good. That's not a problem.
Okay. Well, so what do we need to do anything to get that formalized in any way?
I do not believe that it would be an item associated with that. The applicant has agreed to clean up the site at this time.
Yeah, it looks like it's talking about fallen trees, and then there's some still standing dead ash trees, at least from their point of view. Is that an accurate representation?
That is, I've gone by the site. There are several.
Okay.
We got rid of quite a few very large ones that were, in my mind, dangerous to the house to the right that
Yeah.
I thought could, if it came down, it would take the whole house out. So we took those down, was a year and a
But
half.
you're open to some additional
But
cleanup.
we can certainly take down the rest of them, that's not a problem.
Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Sorensen?
Yeah, so this thing was approved 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So can you just help us on why the lack of progress?
Well, there's been a lot of progress. It just doesn't show right now, but it will soon. Just working through the best use. Once again, we started to move forward with building it out as a 40-unit, lease the units. And once we started to do that, we started to get some feedback and some people calling on it. And they wanted to buy a unit. They lived on the lake or they lived in Wayzata. And one couple in particular had lived in Wayzata 38 years, and I talked to the wife multiple times, and she was, every time I talked to her, she kept saying, okay, I've got what you sent me, and I'll take the 2 units in the middle, you just need to put them together, and how much will that be? And I'm like, they're not, ma'am, they're not for sale. So, but then she kept digging that in, and then the 4th call, I said, let me tell you something, let me call you back. You might be onto something here. Because she goes, we're selling our property, we will buy. We don't want to lease at those kind of numbers, and which, quite frankly, it's expensive. I mean, those units to lease would have been somewhere between $15,000 and $17,000 a month, plus care. So when you start to do that math, if it were me, I would like to have it as an asset too. So that's where. So we came back to the city, found out we could sell the units, we just couldn't change the footprint of the building. So we went back to the drawing board, and that's been a long process to redo the interior versus leasing versus buying. It's a whole different inside. It's a different style. It's a restaurant. It's a whole different animal from what we were considering on the leasing side.
I think we understand that. I just, it's unusual that this thing would drag out as long as it has.
We want it to go.
So, Mr. Mayor, just one more question, if that's okay?
Absolutely.
So you submitted an application in March. It was determined incomplete. So what's your expectation of when the city, you will resubmit that application?
We should have everything to Alex, I would say, in the next 30 to 60 days tops. And then we'll be complete. We'll have all the new drawings, renderings, everything will be done.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions of the applicant? Go ahead, Mr. Plekas.
Tempting to ask one, but I'm not quite sure how to ask it. I think you mentioned this briefly, but I'm not aware of any elderly care, memory care type facility anywhere in any state that is an ownership structure. So, and again, I'm not sure how to ask it, but have you looked into, is there any other business that's modeled this way that has ownership, but also the extra care for people in their later years?
We don't know of any. We don't know of any.
And how confident are you that that business model is going to work?
Very confident. We have quite a few people that have, once again, that's part of the delay is because these people are adjoining units, combining units, making it look like their place in Florida in square footage and where the bathrooms and bedrooms are. And I think the demographic is that they're going to get ahead of it rather than the husband drives the car through the garage door, or the wife burns down the house, then the kids go, it's time for you to go get help. I think what we're finding is and once again, Kyle can probably comment better than I on this, but because he sees this all day, every day. But it's kind of the opposite. It's the people that want to get ahead of it, husband, wife. We've got a couple of people that are single that are relatively in good health. I'd say they're in excellent health for looking at something like this, but they want to get ahead of it, want to make sure that they have their unit, and they'll probably spend X amount of months here And in the winter months, they'll stay in, whether they're in Scottsdale or they're in Florida. It's very interesting what we're finding. And once again, I think Kyle could answer that far better than I, because he's in this business in a higher level care facilities that he has, that they manage.
Did you want to address the question?
Good evening, Kyle Didier, 18805 4th Avenue North in Plymouth. It's a great question because it hasn't been done. We did extensive research with care providers and other legal advisors. So the building will meet all of the building code standards to be fully licensed as an assisted living. The difference is, in the distinction we made from an ownership perspective, it's generally the residents don't own the building, but someone does, right? So it's always a privately owned building. It's just a question of who, not if. And so we worked very carefully with the legal structure of the building to make sure it can be appropriately licensed to be able to bring the care that we're representing to each of the residents. And so you're right, it's unique. And that's what slowed the process down, is to make sure if we're going to represent something to someone that's going to buy one of these homes, that we can deliver the care. And it's also that fine line. You've got the basic assisted living care that you're going to provide. And then as you move residents towards the memory care and the dementia-related illnesses, can we support a resident in those circumstances? And so we're making sure that the buildings are designed appropriately. So that we can represent with reasonableness, and we can't assert that under 100% that someone could stay there forever, but we're highly confident that the majority of people that live with us can live there to end of life. So the care component has been a big driver to this. I would say also, to answer the question earlier, really COVID disrupted the senior living space quite significantly. And if you looked at the market today, many senior living communities are trading or selling at extremely high premiums. And the reason for that is from 2020 till about 2025, nothing was getting built. So the amount of supply that's there relative to the demand now has there's a disjointed component of that, where Minnesota was getting many new buildings quite frequently. In addition, the state of Minnesota changed the building code standards in 2023. Assisted livings could be built like an apartment in the past, and they can't anymore. So I-2 construction is the requirement. It requires significantly more construction costs associated with it. One would argue that it's appropriate, but it does cost more. And then I think the third element, that when Todd and I were talking about this project and why bring a private ownership element to it, is, as you noted, Alex noted, on the Inslee recently opened. The majority of those apartments are what they call 55 plus, but there is a memory care small AL building that's going to be operated by Ebenezer. And so all of that presents itself as more of a challenge. And given the size of this community, it's hard to really attract more larger institutional capital to invest $5 million or $10 million, whatever it might be. And so private ownership just seems to be the perfect fit for this. And quite honestly, I'm a big believer that this is a game changer. I was one of the founding members of the Water Senior Living, and we started to approach the design and how senior living was approached from a wellness and well-being perspective and not a nursing home perspective, and people just said, that's never gonna work. And we were a very big disruptor from about 2010 to 2016, and everybody's jumped on now, and every building that gets built is focused on health, well-being. And yes, there's a care component, but it's behind the scenes, and it's just a very fundamentally different than nursing home care. So I would say that that's those elements of making sure every I is dotted and T is crossed to make sure we can deliver, particularly on the licensing and the care, has been a big reason for some of these delays.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions of the applicant? Okay, Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the council for discussion then. Thank you for your presentation, both of you, for giving us the information. So I think we have a staff recommendation to approve the extension, and this is for a full year, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So who would like to weigh in on the pros and cons of either accepting staff's recommendation or going a different direction?
I'll get started for you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. McDowell.
I think this is a nice use. I supported the initial PUD, and I think this is still something that our community needs. It has been a little disappointing that it has taken so long, but I understand the rationale, and I recall the neighborhood being really supportive of this, so I'm in favor of offering this extension.
Thank you. Would like to go next? Mr. Sorensen?
Yeah. Well, likewise, I'm enthused about the project. I think it'd be a great asset to the community. I think the city, wants to be a good partner, and we've tried. I think we've been patient. I got to tell you, though, I lack some confidence in this development. I think it's been taking a long time, and I know we've got some rationale about why, but it's taken an unusually long time, and maybe has lacked some communication along the way with the city and staff. I wouldn't be against an extension. I'm not sure a year is appropriate. I mean, if it's going to take 30 to 60 days to resubmit this application, I could see us approving something a little bit beyond that. But I don't know. I like the project, but I'm a little skeptical about the ability to the project ever happening.
Thank you, Mr. Sorensen. Mr. Pluckish?
Before I weigh in on that question, what happens if we don't approve an extension?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember, if a extension were not to be approved, and the applicant were to want to bring the same project back forward, they would need to resubmit their applications and go through public hearing, planning commission, and city council like a new project would. They would not need to bring back the rezoning and re-guiding.
Do we have as much information as we would likely get in that new process already?
Councilmember, no, due to the incomplete application aspect that we've already sent back out on some of their resubmission of materials to evaluate whether any additional approvals were needed. There were some missing items to ensure that that what was being brought forward was entirely consistent with the approved PUD and PUD agreement.
Okay. Well, I'm not one that wants to introduce bureaucracy into a system that we don't need to. So I'm not inclined to go down that path. I was the one council member that did not agree to extend the last time, but that was not so much about the project as it was that I thought that there should have been somebody here to address us. So it was more that, and you are here tonight. I'm a little intrigued in how this business model is going to work, and maybe if you were a disruptor in the last cycle and people came aboard, I'd be curious to see if this becomes another one of those where you're a disruptor again in a positive way. So even though I'm a little reticent about the fact that you didn't show up last time, but you did this time, and you intrigued me enough with this project that I'll go ahead and support it.
Thank you, Mr. Pluckish. Trying to be not duplicative in my comments. I'm encouraged to see that you'll clean up the dead trees. I mean, I know that's not a condition of approval, but just your openness to doing that goes a long way for me in terms of keeping the neighbors happy. I don't know enough about this business model to comment whether you're going to be successful or not. It is intriguing, though. I would think to a profile of this area of the Twin Cities, right, in terms of folks looking for this option, so that I could see something working there. I guess, what assurances do we think we have that you're going to meet can we put a condition on there that they have to submit their missing materials in addition to the extension, or no? Like a different timetable, or are they one and the same, Mr. City Attorney?
Mr. Mayor, just one clarification from staff so we can answer that question precisely. So what, Director Sharp, what materials are we waiting for? What made the application incomplete and what was the application for?
So essentially what staff had the applicant bring forward was a narrative and full new renderings, new description of use to ensure that it was consistent with the existing approvals.
The PUD plan?
Yes, and essentially a final PUD plan type of submission.
Gotcha.
We did not have enough material to determine whether it was consistent with prior approvals and thus declared the application incomplete.
Yeah. So, Mr. Mayor, if this resolution was adopted, they would have a full year before it would lapse, and that means they actually have to have shovels in the ground within a year. And so the applicant will have to work with staff on a timeline to make sure that they submit those materials for final plan approval, which is a staff review. And that's where, as Director Sharp said, his team will look at the plans, make sure they're consistent with what the previous approvals are. If they're not, the applicant would have to come back for a PUD amendment, which would be almost like a new application. But assuming it's consistent, they'd have to get that application time enough to get the building permit, get things rolling before 1 year from the lapse of approvals.
Okay, well, that actually further clarifies it. I don't want to add additional bureaucratic steps to it either. I agree with Councilmember Plekish on that. I just wanted to understand the parameters and more details of what's missing. So I think I could support this. I guess if I'm counting noses here, I'm hearing consensus towards supporting an extension. So I guess I would accept a motion to approve Resolution 30, 2026, approving the extension of zoning and approvals at 1405 Holders Terrace and 15419 and 15429 Wayzata Boulevard East. Who would like to make that motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll go ahead and make that motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Just want to enter in the record the comment that you've agreed in principle to clean up the site, just as a comment, not as a condition. So it's in the record for the neighbor who brought that forward. So that's my only comment. So we've had moved and seconded with further comments. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that passes 4-0. So now we're moving on. Thank you for being here tonight, and hopefully this will give you a path now to get going with it. So thank you very much. So next on our agenda item is the city manager's report, I believe.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. One thing that I want to point out is this past Saturday, the Daughters of the American Revolution hosted a Liberty Tree dedication and celebration of America 250. So that was held just out here at the library. So if you haven't seen it yet, they unveiled the plaque that the city council approved dedicating the Liberty Tree that's planted right outside the libraries. I thought it was a great event. A lot of people attended, so just wanted to shine a light on that celebration and some of the work that the Daughters and even the Sons of the American Revolution are doing to celebrate America 250. A couple other reminders for the folks listening in that we do have squads and sandcastles coming up on June 30th from 1 to 3 p.m. So if you have little ones you think would be interested in building a sandcastle with a police officer, to invite them to please attend that. And then also as a heads up that not this weekend, but the following weekend is art experience. So there's going to be a lot of people in town, artists down on Lake Street. The chamber is running that event, and they also have some extra information, handy guide for where to park, impacts of construction and getting to the area. So if you haven't seen that and you're not sure where you'd want to park, or hopefully if you're local and you're attending, you could walk or bike to get there more easily. But just don't forget, art experience is June 27th and 28th. That's what I've got for you tonight.
Any questions of staff? I just have one, and I don't know if there's an answer to be given tonight, but with all the continuous changes on 12 and 394, we've seen significant increased traffic along Wayzata Boulevard, particularly at the stop sign of, I think, the one stop sign that is along the corridor, because you have people coming in from 112. Is there any option to, request some assistance from the DOT or funding to maybe have our officer on site during peak hours or things of that nature to try to address that?
Yeah, that's a good question. We just got a community member who asked a question about that, at least when the chief and I talked about it, and Chief, you can feel free to address it directly if you prefer, that we feel like having an officer on site to either direct traffic or would really cause more of an issue. It's likely to cause more confusion, more delays, and backups in that area, that we think if we actually did that, it might do more harm and cause the opposite reaction of what neighbors in that area want from that intersection. So when we've talked about it as staff, we thought that probably wouldn't address the issue, but we do acknowledge that is a concern at that intersection for sure.
Okay. That's all I had. I just saw more than one inquiry coming in along those lines, so I just wanted to bring it up.
Great.
Okay, any other further questions? So hearing none, there's nobody on the public forum that snuck in, right?
Nope.
Okay, so I would accept a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting, please.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we're adjourned. Thank you.
All right. 45 minutes.